Good afternoon and welcome to another episode of Unscripted and Unchained RPG Review. I am Game Master Bloodworth, and as you can see by the graphics, today's video I am going to be talking about Advanced Crimson Dragon Slayer. This is an RPG written by Venger Satanis, and as you can see, I'm kind of leading in with this question or this statement followed by a question. You should go full Gonzo in your TTRPGs, and here is why. I think it's the best way to lead in to both this game and the setting that it is written for. So, if you're not familiar with Crimson Dragon Slayer, Crimson Dragon Slayer is a very rules light Gonzo, which means that it is a combination of several different themes and genres, and all with a kind of tongue-in-cheek, eldritch, weird, sometimes lewd and provocative. All of the different adjectives that are, leaning towards edginess can be included in what is Gonzo. And the reason why I'm so enthusiastic about, pushing this particular game system is that it brings the three things that I look for in game systems together into just one game and one world setting. So what do I mean by that? When I'm looking at different OSR or independent games, and what I'm going to purchase and what I'm going to actually run and play and so forth, I look for simple systems that lend themselves to your own interpretation and expansion as you see fit. I look for systems that are unique, that have various elements in them that you don't really see either very much at all or at all in other game systems. And also I look at, is it affordable? Is it what is the price point of this thing? And considering that Advanced Crimson Dragon Slayer is free, you have that locked in there, right away. Plus the hardbacks, which I will be showing them off as well, very briefly because I've done videos on all of them separately. They're also comparatively very, very affordable, and oftentimes they're sold at a discount or they're bundled up with new Kickstarters. And I'll talk a little bit about Venger Satanis's Kickstarter history as well. But it's just a combination of all three things coming together, and this is something that I don't think that you should miss out on. And like I said, it's free to engage with, and so I certainly encourage you to do so. So let's start looking at the game system itself. Now, this is the advanced version. It is written specifically for the use in Chalt, which is a world setting. However, you can use it elsewhere as well, but specifically written for Chalt. So I'm not going to go through all of the rules of it, but I am going to share with you this PDF in a fairly longer form than I normally would in one shot. So here we go. I am going to set this all up, and yes, I was not where I wanted to be. So switching gears now, sorry about that. So here we go. And let me back this off a little bit so you can see the cover. So here's Advanced Crimson Dragon Slayer. You can see it's only 19 pages long. So again, very short, concise, to the point, really cool stuff. So I will expand view now so you can see what I'm looking at. And this is the overview. Years of running one-shots and short campaigns motivated me to come up with something that bridged the gap between old school D&D and 5e. Advanced Crimson Dragon Slayer is a minimalist, plug-and-play RPG. Sure, choices are limited, but on the plus side, there's no analysis paralysis. In other words, there isn't an abundance of rules that kind of freeze up the gameplay as it's taking place, thus, you know, ruining the immersion so that you can look up various rules. It's not built that way, and you're going to see what I'm talking about when I get there. For those just learning how to play D&D or veterans wanting a quick pickup game, it's been invaluable. Character sheets are not required. Even though this has character sheets, what he means by this is that the character sheet doesn't govern what you can do in the game. Your imagination does. If there's something that you want to attempt, you just narrate what you want your character to do. Let the GM handle all the rest. Immersion is key, so when you're playing this game, you are solely vested into what the character is doing. And the character is just going to say, I am walking across the room, I am going to open up the right-hand drawer on the desk. And then the GM will determine whether or not, in split second, snap decision, is the drawer locked. You discover that the drawer is locked when you try to grab a hold of it and open it up. The whole desk kind of shifts along with your pressure. Oh, I am going to attempt to pick the lock. And now the GM is going to decide what the base chance of that taking place are going to be done, right? And so a roll is required at this point. Most rolls are using the D20, with higher numbers being better. Instead of using modifiers, I use advantage, rolling 2d20 and taking the highest of the results when circumstances are favorable, and disadvantage, rolling 2d20 and taking the lowest when they're unfavorable. If the favorable and unfavorable kind of even out, neither is applicable. The gods are ever watchful. They take an interest in mortal affairs. Even those who've renounced them, in fact, a few deities only concern themselves with humanoids who have rejected spiritual pursuits. Divine favor can be passed to each other, saved up, and carries over from session to session. It's a meta currency for the game. So when you're having dice rolls and when you're having, whether there's advantage or disadvantage, there's another system that is put into play here called divine favor. So let's say you attempt to open up that drawer and it's a fairly easy task, but yet you failed. All right, you can have another character assist you, all right, making a second attempt on it, which would make it advantaged. Or let's say that still fails, but you really want to open up this door, all right, then there is a third and final layer where you're using divine favor. All right, I'll get into more detail with that as well. Player characters gain divine favor throughout the session in one or more of 5 specific categories: outside contribution, taking notes, bringing snacks, tracking Crimson Escalation, and I'll get into that in detail later on. Character embodiment, immersing yourself in the world presented to you. So basically through very good role playing, you can gain one of these points. Background related, occupying yourself with your character's specific tasks, thoughts, and monologue. Cosmological affiliation, behavior associated with your alignment, even those who turn their back on the gods by claiming neutrality. The ultra-telluric genre jam melange, saving the day, hilarious session quotes, and just having the most fun of anybody at the table. Once a point of divine favor has been received for the particular category, it's assumed closed for that specific PC. So a PC can only accumulate 5 of these points, and only if they have generated in all 5 categories here. What this really encourages, and I really love this about this system, even though it is meta, it is in many cases rewarding what you're doing at the table as the player. It really is encouraging a very positive, jovial, just having a great time at the table. And I think that's very important, and I think it's very important to encourage that. Too many times I hear, even within my own circle of YouTube channels that I follow, they kind of poo-poo on the idea. Well, as long as you're having fun. Well, in this case, it's saying having fun at the table, especially through role playing, is really important. And I think that that's what I really love about this, combined with what Venger Satanis is talking about, the player character sheet, and how to act beyond the character sheet itself, but still within the overall theme for your character, so it makes sense for your character. These are the things that I think are really important and needs to be stressed. I think more so than just saying, oh, it's important that you have fun at the table. Now, this goes a step further than that. It's supporting the idea that you shouldn't just be having fun at the table. You should be having great fun at the table. You should be busting your guts open, laughing and having fun and being engaged and role playing and doing all of that at the table. Getting back to the game rules, PCs start at first level and grow to power until they reach the adventuring peak at level 10. So there's not a whole lot of levels going on here. And the characters can gain levels fairly quickly. It depends on how many sessions, or they say each adventure you go up a level. So adventures could last several sessions, or an adventure could last one session. It really depends on how fast you want the player characters to gain levels. At 3rd, 7th, and 10th level, players get to pick a special ability or feat that relates to their character's class, race, noteworthy characteristic, or adventuring experience. This can be something pulled from a book, such as Chalt Ascended, or made up on your own. So I really like this. Again, your special ability can be based on something that your character has frequently done. And so it might not be class related. It might not be, off the character sheet, but it's because your character has done this several times and successfully done it several times, you can actually create a feature for your character revolving around that special ability. So I think it's really cool. It allows the player to have a great deal of agency, provided that their game master agrees with whatever feat you're actually creating. Fuchsia Burn. I give my players little fuchsia stones as tokens to represent divine favor. When a point is spent, it's handed back to me. Fuchsia burns allow players to spend all the divine favor currently on the table at once. Must be greater than merely one fuchsia stone. Burning everyone's divine favor up in order for that player character to automatically crit. So this is so there's a pool on the table, right? There has to be at least one divine favor in the middle of the table, and 2 in order for you to burn the 2 off and turn any failed roll into an automatic critical success. All right, so there is a pool that's being generated in the center of the table. Each individual character might decide, hey, I'm going to contribute 1 to the pool, and as they're continuing play, they can then refill that slot, because they can have no more than 5 in their personal pool. And so if they know that they tend to be filling up on one type of divine favor from one source, they can contribute those extras into the pool so that there's something there for another party member to burn or themselves to burn off the whole pool in order to achieve some brilliant success. Character creation. So this is really important because it is short, it is sweet, it is something that you can re-roll a new character or recreate a new character in just a couple of minutes. You're going to name your character, assign a class to your character, a race of your character, an alignment, and something noteworthy about your character. All HP refresh after 6 hours of rest. Interruptions are fine, just sleep a little longer. Okay? A warrior. You are a cutthroat mercenary, bloodthirsty barbarian, or valiant defender of the weak. Warriors gain D10 hit points per level, maximum hit points at first level, and inflict D10 damage. Warriors crush their enemies, adding their level to both attack and damage rolls. For example, a 3rd level warrior will get a +3 to hit and +3 to damage. Sorcerer, arcane scholar, mysterious conjurer, or sinister demonologist. They get 1d4 hit points per level, maximum HP at first level. I won't keep on repeating that for the futures. And inflict d4 damage when they're making a melee attack. Sorcerers can cast virtually any spell, but each spell cast drains the sorcerer of hit points equal to the spell's level. And I'll go into a little bit more detail with the sorcery section, how that works. But basically, if you're casting a 1st level spell, you're going to lose 1 hit point in casting that spell. If wearing armor, sorcerers must roll percentile die for spell failure. The chance is 10% for every point of non-magical armor. So if they're wearing leather armor that gives them +2, let's say, then it's going to be a 20% chance of spell failure. If they're wearing chainmail, that's +5. It'll be a 50% chance of spell failure. HP are expended, but no effect is produced when a spell fails. Here's a little note on starting gear. I'm not going to spend any time with that. The priest, a holy defender, a Templar knight, or servant of darkness. They get D8 hit points of damage, hit points of level. Sorry. They inflict D8 damage in melee combat. Priests have a healing invocation via touch that can be used once per round without penalty. At 1st level, a priest can cure wounds healing D6 damage. This healing ability goes up to D8 at 3rd level, D12 at 5th level, D20 at 7th level, and fully healed at 9th level. However, if the heal die results in a 1, the priest is temporarily spent, spiritually speaking, and unable to cast healing invocation for 1d4 turns, or for 10 to 40 minutes. All right, so they may lose this healing effect that they would normally have every round if they roll a 1 for the heal result. So pretty severe loss of ability for a length of time. Additionally, priests have knowledge of and power over infernal entities, undead horrors, and Lovecraftian abominations. Priests can blast them from a distance with a lavender-hued eldritch beam of light. For every level a priest has attained, that's how much D8 damage he may roll for damage to undead, infernal, and Lovecraftian abominations each round. However, the priest's level is also his cost for becoming a vessel of the divine. For example, a 3rd level priest can roll 3d8 to blast a demon, but also takes away 3 of his own hit points to do so. A thief, a wily rogue, cunning assassin, or swashbuckling bandit. Thieves get d6 per level hit points and inflict d6 damage. Thieves can do all the usual thief abilities, such as climbing, finding or removing traps, listening, hiding in shadows, moving silently, picking locks, and picking pickpockets. If its routine usage abilities are automatic, successful, as long as the attempt action is narrated. All right. Trickier tasks are usually narrated and rolled. See skill checks below. Wearing armor may hamper the abilities such as climbing, listening, or sneaking. Fortunately, thieves add their level to their armor class when not wearing armor. When a thief attacks an opponent that is distracted or unaware of his presence, he's able to backstab. In addition to gaining advantage on his attack, thieves roll triple damage. Here's a brief interlude, and this is the announcement that VengerCon 3, Revenge of the OSR, will be taking place in 2024. And in a future video, I will probably talk about the dates of that. Or you can go to Venger Satanis' blogspot, and you can get it there as well. So the races, I'm not going to go into detail with these. I'm just going to go over them very quickly. You have humans, dwarves, halflings, gnomes, elves, dark elves, half-orcs, demons, pixie fairies, crystalline, reptilian, and droids. Race is specific to Chald, so this is the advanced edition of this. Infernal elves, moon elves, blood elves, sky elves, midnight elves, sun elves, blue velvet elves, rainbow elves, grog, vor, and I guess that's Visim. Lizardtors, crustaceans, cactus folk. Sleaze factor. If you want your game to resemble a late-night premium cable cult classic TV show or movie full of sex, violence, and tentacles glistening with radioactive violet demon slime, you'll want to incentivize eroticism, lewdness, and sexual activity. I'm going to implement a rule that made its way into Kresma Mizerk blah blah. Venger Satanis loves making these unpronounceable names for places. I'm just going to call this Krez Zahan. Okay? Mega Dungeon, found in Chalt Chartreuse Shadows. Upon achieving one's carnal climax, whatever that looks like, PCs prepare certain NPCs and monsters. PCs, perhaps certain NPCs and monsters as well, get the following bonuses for the next 5 hours, which is typically a session in Venger Satanis' game, right? It's, 5-6 hour long sessions that he does. You'll gain +5 hit points that go above and beyond your usual maximum, +5 to all saving throws, +5 to all skill checks. So again, I think that everyone at your table is going to be encouraged to use this sleaze factor if you as a GM are willing to allow for it. You are going to set the parameter of how it is ultimately achieved. I would go back to the divine points and say once you've filled your divine points, you now have that sleaze factor of 5, since there were 5 divine points that you can accrue. That unlocks the sleaze factor. That's how I would do it. Alignment, it's using basic D&D alignment, so law, chaos, and neutrality. Something noteworthy. Here again, this is another potential for role-playing. This is your character's primary distinguishing feature, separating him from any other warrior or sorcerer, elf, or human. Now is your opportunity to shine, stand out from the crowd. A noteworthy characteristic can be a background, a possession, a talent, a hobby, a goal, past experience, passion, hatred, personality quirk, or something relating to the PC's appearance, like a black denim cloak with alien sex fiend patch embroidered on the back. Anything that is either super beneficial or obviously overpowered will be countered by the GM prescribed flaw or weakness. So you can have something that's very powerful, but you're also going to carry a fairly significant flaw or weakness along with it. Combat. Initiative follows here, so one of those unique things like I'm talking about, right? As what I look for. Initiative goes in the following order. Thieves go first, followed by warriors, followed by enemies, followed by retainers, followed by priests and sorcerers. A simple abbreviation of TWRPs will help remind the table who goes and when. All right, so there's no role for initiative. It is just if there's a thief in the group, they're going to go first. If there's a warrior in a group, they will go second. Then the enemy's turn goes. Then any retainers, if they're on either side, then priests followed by sorcerers. Armor class starts at 10, as I described earlier, goes up to a maximum of 20. Wearing leather armor increases or improves your AC by +2, ring mail by +3, chainmail by +4, scale by 5, plate by 6. Using shield or pauldrons provides an additional 2 points. Helms, gauntlets, and bracers provide each 1 point. Attack rolls are a d20 and hit your opponent's AC or better. If using magic weapon, add the bonus to your attack and damage rolls. Two-handed weapons, once you kill your opponent, if there is any additional hit points remaining in damage from that attack, it can, if there's one within range, bleed over into another opponent. Dual wielding allows you to attack twice per round. Ranged weapons allow you to attack from a distance, but there is the risk of friendly fire. If you roll a 1, you are going to hit a companion. Again, within reason, the companion had to be someplace within your field of fire, which is basically anything in front of you. High-tech and magical weapons have their own damage values, regardless of the character class, so those are done independently. Natural 20 is always a critical hit. That means that your attack is automatically successful and the result is double damaged. Crimson Escalation. Now, I'm going to show you the chart for this, the graphic for this. I just want to double check to make sure that it is going to transfer over to the view. Okay, it is transferring in view to you. So this is how Crimson Escalation works. It's basically a progressive critical hit chart, right? So in the first round of a combat, everyone, including the opposing side, scores a critical hit on any natural 20. In the second round of that same combat, that increases to a 19 or 20. In the third round, an 18 through 20. In the fourth round, 17 through 20. And it keeps on escalating until you get to round 11. Now, this is going to be a very, very long combat for it to last 11 rounds. Almost unheard of. All right, well, you get to round 11 and you're still fighting this group of, massive group of enemies or some mega boss. Everything a 10 to a 20 is going to be a critical. If you go to the 13th round of one combat, it is going to reset to a natural 20 again. All right, so that is basically the Crimson Escalation in a very short description. It's also here if you don't have the Crimson Escalation, although I would print out this chart and put this, this graphic and put this on the table for everyone to be able to track it. But yeah, it's nice to have the imagery of it. If your PC reaches 0 hit points or any negative number of hit points up to the PC's level, they are knocked unconscious. If their hit point goes past that, one point beyond that, the character is dead. So at -5 hit points, if the character is 4th level, they are dead. All right, at -4, they're still just unconscious. Death sucks, but it happens. Simply create another PC. New PCs will be brought into the game as soon as possible. So, again, you saw how quickly you can create a new character. It's not a big deal. And this is meant to be not just Gonzo, but it's also supposed to be, a fairly brutal setting that Chalt is. Miscellaneous. So instead of automatically rolling a skill check, simply describe what your character is doing. Perception and interaction, among other things, will be role played. All right. So you're not rolling for perception. You're not doing interactions by rolling dice. You're going to role play those. And the more you actually do this, the better. So once again, Venger Satanis is encouraging role playing. And that doesn't mean that you have to do voices or anything like that. Just play as if your character is you at you're just living through your character. Your character is fully immersed in the world, and you're as the player, you're acting in your character's senses. All right, you're controlling what your character is doing. So role play it. Otherwise, the GM will let you know when a roll is needed. Success on a skill check requires a roll of 15 or better. If the task is related to the PC's class, race, noteworthy characteristic, or adventuring experience, the character's level can be added to the result. All right, so there's no challenge levels involved or whatever. Everything is a base of 15, and then it is modified upwards based on character level, utilizing class, race, noteworthy characteristics, and the adventuring experience of that character can come into play. PCs can assist by giving advantage to rolls, so you don't have to get into how much the roll is modified. You're just rolling 2d20 now, and you're taking the highest. Very simple. Saving throws are made to partially or entirely resist various dangers. The target number for your saving throw is determined by subtracting the character's level or the monster's HD from 20. You need to roll the number or better on a d20 to save. A natural 20 means you have completely been left unaffected. Knowing new magic items, you must attune a magic item after 15 minutes of uninterrupted concentration on the item. You will learn all of its abilities. So no identify magic item is needed here. Players are encouraged to ask questions. All right, I know that there are many YouTube channel, people who, you should never ask questions. The type of question that Venger Satanis is telling you you should ask are legitimate, interesting, and substantive questions. Does the robot's head still talk after I ripped it off its body? This isn't the player asking the GM. This is the character asking the question of what can he see, hear, smell, feel, whatever in the situation. All right? So it is totally couched in the knowledge of the character, not of the player. Are always welcome and usually have a 2 in 6 chance of being answered in the affirmative. All right? So if they ask a question, is something noticeable? than a 2 to 6 chance, the answer will be yes. And it says usually have a 2 in 6 chance. It could be higher than that, it could be lower. It really depends on the GM's call. Lavender moon dice. So these are based on the religious aspects of Chalt. Every humanoid has 7 souls, or rather 1 soul divided into 7 fragments or shards. These 7 soul shards correspond to the 7 lavender moons of Chalt and represent defining moments in the humanoid's life. When a PC wants to attempt an action that is larger than life, a heroic deed or dastardly feat that would, under normal circumstances, be nigh impossible, he may roll a moon die. Only 7 moon dice are available throughout the life of the character. A roll of 1 results in a failure. A roll of a 2 results in a failure. 3, 4, and 5 results in a success, and 6 results in a critical success. Now, the difference between a 1 and a 2, rolling a 1 results in a failure as the moon demon claims ownership over the character's soul shard until the quest is completed for a moon demon. Until then, no other moon dice may be rolled, and 7 years of indentured servitude of the demon must be paid after death. All right? So a 2 is just a failure. So no taking away the moonstone, no length of time when you cannot use another moonstone again. Performing a ritual involving infernal glyphs, Zoth, humanoid sacrifice, and prayers to 1 or more devil gods may yield advantage when calling upon the lavender moons of Chalt. For such rituals to have any effect, they must occur within 7-hour window of the attempted action. Sorcery, and I've gone through sorcery before. Sorcery has not really changed from the basic game to the advanced game. Dark rituals allow the spellcaster to sap other creatures around them of the HP in order to cast their spells, right? So they can suck the life out of an NPC casting a spell, and then once that spell has been used, the NPC loses the number of hit points of the spell level of the spell used. So this is obviously an offensive thing to do. So you're not making any friends doing it. It's often called blood magic. That's basically what it is. It's using the life force of another in order to generate the spell power of your abilities. You go through the spells here, and I'm not going to go into detail with these. You can see them very quickly. Again, this is a free PDF, so you can look through this all you like. I like the fact that Fireball here has a variable effect on a 1 to 6. Fourth level spells, 5th level, 6th level. And here is the character sheet. Very, very simple character sheet, right? Name, race, class, alignment, your level, your saving throw, which is usually your level as well. Armor class. Remember, saving throws are 15 modified. So you would put 15 here for the most part, although it could be modified by other factors. Your current hit points, your background and features, your wealth, how many gold pieces do you have, how much pornography do you have is also a form of currency. Your lavender moons, which ones you possess. Your divine number, your number of divine favors that you have, and it explains each one that you might have accumulated them for. Your sleaze factor, if that is currently in effect, you would check off the box. List for 3 weapons, some equipment, and that's it. All right, so It is, and I will switch back here. It is an extremely easy game system to pick up, use. You're going to have a lot of fun with it. I showed you the Crimson Escalation, which is the one thing, and I think it's like a $2 PDF for that as well. But it's explained just without the graphic chart of it. It's explained in Advanced Crimson Dragon Slayer as well. So you just don't have that little graphic to put on the table and let the players keep track of it. The world of Chalt, I'm just going to very briefly go into this as well. So we're ready now. Nope, we're not ready yet. Now we are. So this is the first book of Chalt. All right. There are 3 currently hardback books, and it is a world setting. It goes into, it's a huge book. It goes into all kinds of, city places and locations and backgrounds of those places, factions. Then there is a whole section on adventuring, and then a mega dungeon. That's the Black Pyramid here, and a mega dungeon that you can see goes on and on. It is huge. And then a variety of appendices and such that give you just much more flavor and useful charts and such. So this is the one that you would, if you want to run Advanced Crimson Dragon Slayer in its desired or best setting, then you just need this one. Although I have all 3, and I'm going to show you them very quickly here. So here is the Chartreuse Shadows. This is the most recent, so this is book 3. You can see it is really quite huge. You can see the binding is a stitched binding, and the paper quality and everything is a glossy, heavy stock paper. Some of the best quality of products purchased through Kickstarter that I have come across. And a real quick note: this is book 2, Fuchsia Malaise, and this is the first book as I described to you. This is just Chalt, and Venger Satanis does Kickstarters, and I believe he's been successful in every single one of them. And his fulfillment on Kickstarters, it's just been my experience, and I've covered quite a few of them now. They're always on time. You're always getting a top-notch product, and he's one of the Kickstarters that I will always back because he just has a great track record for it. So this is my big holiday spiel here. Today on Labor Day here in the United States, and I know I was looking to get to this video a couple of days ago, and then the weekend happened. So I'm glad to have gotten to it. I strongly encourage you to take a look at Advanced Crimson Dragon Slayer on DriveThruRPG. Again, it is free, so you can get the game system, the 19-page game system, for free, and then check out and see either at Venger Satanis's blogspot. Just look up Chalt and you'll find it, or Venger Satanis, and you will find his blogspot, and you can go there. He probably still has copies of all 3 books. Might even have some copies left of Chalt that you can still get your hands on, and so I highly recommend getting at least the first one so that you can see, and look out for his next Kickstarter. He usually bundles them up as well in future Kickstarters if he still has copies of Chalt, the original, remaining. Those are probably in much shorter supply than the other 2. So, act upon it when you can. Thanks for joining. I hope you liked this video. And as always, I look forward to seeing you on a gaming screen sometime soon. This is definitely a game system that I can see myself running at a convention. You'll certainly raise a couple eyebrows as well. So it would be a really cool thing. And I guarantee you, people are going to have fun at your table running this game system. It is a blast to run. I've played in some of Venger's games, at least two online, and and always had a blast with them. A lot of fun. You'll have a lot of fun running it, and so I look forward to seeing you at a gaming screen or at a gaming table sometime soon. And perhaps I will be running Chalt at Rising Phoenix. That will be a cool venue for me to run this game system at. You'll have a great rest of your remainder of your weekend if you're here in the United States with an extended weekend. Have a great upcoming week, and take care. Thanks for stopping by.